I was in Covent Garden Flower Market one morning and I came across this beautiful box of bluebells and I was really entranced by them. I found out that they came from Cornwall and it instantly reminded me of my mother who came from that region and of all our school holidays spent down in Cornwall. And I was just very touched and determined to find out who had actually grown the flowers, and that journey took me to the farm of Stuart Smith.
Well, I'm the 5th generation for the flowers. We started in the Isles of Scilly and moved over here in about 1922. Well, when Dad was growing, just before he retired, there wasn't any Dutch over here. So there wasn't any competition for the flowers. So whatever grandfather and Dad grew, they sold because you had to buy English flowers or there wasn't anything else to buy. But now, of course, they're coming. There's no seasons in the crops. You can buy agapanthus now. You can buy agapanthus in Christmas, but we've only got them in July.
When you buy something, for instance, like flowers, what exactly are you buying? Is it just the instant gratification of the thing in itself? Or are you also buying into the world and culture in which it is made? Personally, I think the latter. That seemingly simple index of innocence, the bunch of flowers, is actually a heady bouquet of economics and geopolitics, as well as poetry and place.
There's not much profit in it now. It's really going downhill. Sales are down, expenses go up, your gross sales are down, and flowers haven't changed in price for about 30 years. We're still getting the same price per bunch of bluebells or Solomon Seals what Dad was 25 years ago, but wages have gone up 5 times and freight's gone up, really.
Over the years, I really got to learn about the history of flower farming in Cornwall and how the commercial pressures of the way that the flower trade has become globalised has really affected their business. The flower train was a train that ran between Penzance and Paddington, I think nearly every day, and it used to take Cornish cut flowers to market in London and Birmingham and Manchester. So it was this incredibly important commercial route and connection for flower farmers in very distant rural Cornwall to their markets. The flower train stopped when the railways were privatised in the 80s, and now the flowers travel by road.
My grandfather came in as tenant in 1914 and he eventually purchased it in 1935, 36, something like that. Well, we've gone on ever since. I took over from my father in my own rights somewhere around 1975-ish.
What was that bunch you had?
Well, it's market-led. Initially, as I say, my grandfather grew for the local trade, what he could sell there. Then the markets opened up and we all tended to use the wholesale markets, including Covent Garden, and a favourite of ours was Cardiff Market, but we've also dealt with Birmingham, Leeds, various markets. And now the emphasis has moved on to dealing with local shops again and secondary wholesalers around the country. Unless you have access to the secondary wholesalers or the retailers, you don't get in on the market at all. I haven't been on Covent Garden now for about, 8-10 years. Marketing. It's the main problem with everything, isn't it? In fact, it's the first consideration. If you've got a market, then you can have a go at producing it. Then it's followed by the husbandry that's needed, keep disease and pests down. So on. And do that, you're home and dry, aren't you? No problems.
I think flower farmers on a small scale and artists have a lot in common. We're both looking for a space in the world that in a way honours a craft and our craft, and also honours the the handmade over the mass-produced, and honours the amount of industry and endeavour that goes into making something as tenuous as a flower or a work of art. For me, there's a real balance between faith and doubt in making art and growing flowers. On the one hand, you do it because you have to do it, it's who you are. And at the same time, you do it in faith that people will want to see your work or want to buy your flowers. And at the same time, of course, there's that infill of doubt.
We usually come up after we finish the other work and do an hour or two. Of course, you've got the whole wide world now with air transport coming in from South America and Africa. You name it, everyone's growing. Italy does the parvifolia and does us with ours, and we think ours is beautiful, but the buyers seem to enjoy the Italian. So you just have to have a lot of little things so that you can be earning an income, not too much of one thing, for us anyhow, and that seems to work. And I think most small growers are the same way, aren't they, don't you think?
Yes,
yeah, because
yes.
they grow different things. But no 2 years are the same, and flowers are very fashionable, and we're in a recession. So maybe that is affecting people, but somehow, you know, our wholesalers in London have done us proud and kept us going, really.
A lot of our customers are almost like friends. They come maybe 3, 4, 5 times a year. They know our history, they know the family, they talk to us.
We have a good chat, don't we?
We know about them, what they're doing. We've built up a sort of report that no call centre could ever do, and I think that's a big help.
Through the course of several years getting to know the farmers, I made a piece of work called Flower Train, which is a series of posters which were made to be presented between the railway stations of Paddington in London and Penzance in Cornwall. And the posters are showing the sort of vanishing worlds, in a way, of small-scale cut flower farming in Cornwall. And I wanted the work to be as a kind of train of thought for passengers, and almost a meditation on image making and journeying, as much as it was a revelation of the invisible spaces created through the practical struggle to grow cut flowers. The humble flower that you see on a flower stall, say at a railway station or in a supermarket, has many layers. It's a cultural object. For me, its silence betrays issues of politics, geography and trade, as well as the life of the person who grew it and picked it. Where did it come from, and where is it going to?